Welcome back, Yellowstone fans. In the shadow of the Roaring Twenties, where opulence masks desperation and secrets fester beneath gilded facades, Spencer and Alex are thrust into a final explosive reunion that will unravel a lifetime of buried betrayals as the clock ticks toward an inevitable reckoning. In 1923, can love outlast vengeance, or will their legacy crumble in the ashes of a dying empire? Dive into Paramount Plus's sweeping saga of forbidden passion, shattered loyalties, and the haunting cost of truth. The year is 1923, a glittering age of speakeasies and silent screams, where fortunes rise and fall on whispered deals and the clink of smuggled champagne. Against this backdrop of decadence and decay, Spencer and Alex, once bound by a love as fierce as it was doomed, are drawn together for a final, incendiary reunion. Old wounds crack open as the dust settles on a shared past littered with lies, stolen moments, and a betrayal that shattered their world. Now, with empires at stake and ghosts clawing at their heels, they must confront the truth. Some fires never die, and the spark between them could either resurrect a legacy or burn it all to the ground. From the smoke-filled parlors of New York's elite to the sun-scorched plains where secrets are buried deep, Spencer and Alex's final reunion is a haunting tale of love's last stand, where every smile hides a dagger and every vow echoes with the weight of what's lost. Streaming only on Paramount Plus, step into a world where the stakes are legacy, the currency is blood, and the clock is ticking toward an ending no one will escape. The collision of love and legacy in a world on the brink, where buried truths and desperate choices force Spencer and Alex to confront whether their bond will resurrect a dying empire or become its final casualty. In 1923, as gilded illusions crumble, Spencer and Alex's final reunion explores the corrosive power of secrets, the weight of bloodlines, and the haunting question, can love transcend betrayal? Or is destruction the price of clinging to the past? The year is 1923, a nation caught between the lawless chaos of Prohibition and the crumbling glamour of the Gilded Age. The story spans two starkly different worlds: the gilded cages of New York's elite, where Spencer Morgan, heir to a railroad dynasty, navigates cutthroat boardroom politics and shadowy speakeasy deals, and the drought-stricken plains of Montana, where Alexandra Alex Grant, a hardened rancher and smuggler, fights to protect her land and outrun the ghosts of her past. Their fractured lives collide when Spencer's father dies under suspicious circumstances, leaving the Morgan Empire drowning in debt, and a cryptic letter that drags Spencer back to Alex, the woman he loved and betrayed 10 years earlier. A decade ago, Spencer and Alex were secret lovers, a railroad heir and a ranch hand's daughter whose passionate affair was shattered when Spencer abandoned her to marry Eleanor, a rival tycoon's daughter, under family pressure. Heartbroken, Alex fled west, reinventing herself as a smuggler, thriving in Prohibition's lawlessness. Now, Spencer arrives at her Montana ranch, desperate. His father's letter confesses that the Morgan fortune was built on stolen land, her family's land, and a faulty pact with Charles Voss, a ruthless oil baron plotting to seize the Morgan railroads to salvage his legacy. Spencer begs Alex to leverage her underworld connections to outwit Voss, but Alex demands more than money. She wants the truth about the night Spencer left her and the child she lost in the aftermath. Reluctantly, they form an uneasy alliance, returning to New York to infiltrate Voss's inner circle, posing as reconciled lovers. They navigate a treacherous world of blackmail, jazz age excess, and Spencer's disintegrating marriage to Eleanor. Flashbacks reveal their youthful dream of dismantling the Morgan Empire's corruption together. But as they sabotage Voss's schemes, trust unravels. Alex discovers Eleanor is pregnant, a child who could secure the Morgan bloodline, while Spencer learns Alex hid a devastating secret. Their infant son didn't die to avoid scandal. She gave him up, and he's now Voss's ward, groomed to inherit the tycoon's empire. Voss, anticipating their betrayal, strikes first. He burns Alex's ranch, murders her crew, and kidnaps their son, offering a monstrous trade, the boy for the Morgan Empire. Spencer is torn between saving his empire or the child he never knew. He confronts his father's sins, the stolen land, the bribes, the lives destroyed for profit. In a desperate midnight heist, they raid Voss's vault to reclaim evidence of the Morgan family's crimes, but they are ambushed. Eleanor, realizing her marriage was a lie, sacrifices herself to buy them time, dying in Spencer's arms at dawn. Spencer and Alex confront Voss on the storm-lashed cliffs of the Morgan estate. Voss dangles their son over the edge, demanding the empire in exchange. Alex threatens to expose Voss's crimes with the stolen documents, but Spencer, shattered by guilt over Eleanor's death, sets the papers ablaze. Legacies built on blood shouldn't survive, he declares, enraged. Voss lunges, and in the struggle, the boy slips toward the abyss. Alex leaps to save him, but Spencer chooses her, grabbing Alex as Voss and the child plummet into the raging waves below. In the aftermath, the Morgan Empire collapses under scandal, its railroad seized by the state. Spencer vanishes into the West, a pariah. Alex, grieving but unshackled, rebuilds her ranch with remnants of her smuggled fortune. Years later, she finds an unsigned deed to her family's stolen land and a rusted railroad spike, Spencer's childhood totem, left at her door. The camera lingers on the horizon, where a lone figure rides into the dust as the wind carries the echo of a promise they made long ago: "We'll burn it all down and start over." 2 years after the collapse of the Morgan Empire, America in 1925 is a tinderbox of desperation. The glitter of the Roaring Twenties has faded, replaced by the creeping dread of economic collapse and the violent underbelly of Prohibition's final days. Spencer Morgan, once the heir to a railroad dynasty, is now a ghost, presumed dead. He labors under a false name on Chicago's railroads, his hands calloused and his spirit broken by guilt over Eleanor's death and the son he let fall into the sea. But a cryptic message cracks his self-imposed exile: the boy lives. Meanwhile, in Montana, Alexandra Alex Grant has transformed her scorched ranch into a sanctuary for outcasts, smugglers, displaced families, and those fleeing the syndicate's grip. Her fragile peace shatters when a wanderer brings a rumor. A child with her eyes and Spencer's stubborn jaw was seen in New Orleans, raised in the opulent halls of a mysterious patron. The boy, James Voss, now 12, survived the cliffside plunge, rescued by a loyalist of the late Charles Voss. He's been molded into a weapon. Dr. Jula Kane, a psychiatrist with a chilling smile and a eugenicist's creed, has groomed him within the Dawn Syndicate, a cabal of industrialists and zealots hiding behind social purity campaigns. Jane believes Spencer and Alex abandoned him, and Leela nurtures this belief with surgical precision. She pits him against his parents, staging cruel tests, sabotaging Alex's ranch, leaking Spencer's whereabouts to bounty hunters to prove their unfit love. The syndicate's true goal is to monopolize the dying railroads and ranches, carving a smuggling corridor for drugs and arms as Prohibition crumbles. Their methods are brutal: burning homesteads, bribing officials, and erasing dissenters. Spencer and Alex reunite in a storm-drenched Chicago alley, their partnership frayed but urgent. Spencer is haunted by visions of Eleanor, her ghost taunting him with his failures, while Alex battles nightmares of James' laughter twisting into Voss's sneer. They trace James to New Orleans, where Leela parades him as her protégé at a syndicate gala in a masquerade ball dripping with venom and jazz. They confront him only to find a cold, calculating stranger. "You're just ghosts," James spits, clinging to Leela's hand. "She's my family now." The syndicate strikes back, burning Alex's ranch again, but this time Spencer fights, rallying her ragtag allies in a midnight siege. Victory costs them Harlan, Alex's oldest friend, whose last words don't let the boy become his blood linger like a curse. As the syndicate tightens its grip, Spencer uncovers his family's. Spencer's darkest secret, a pact his ancestors made with the Blackfoot tribes to steal their land, invoking a curse that dooms the Morgans to lose what they love most. To break it, he must return the Montana land to Alex's kin, a revelation that unearths Alex's buried indigenous heritage, a truth her father hid to protect her. But the curse's roots run deeper. Leela, aware of Spencer's quest, is wounded and hunted. Spencer carries Alex to Montana's Blackfoot Reservation, where elders offer sanctuary and a perilous ritual to sever the curse. Meanwhile, James, left alone in Leela's office, discovers a file labeled Subject, Java's Disposable. Beneath clinical notes lies a photo of himself as a toddler, clutched in Alex's arms. He pockets a matchbook from her ranch, its logo half faded, and stares at his trembling hands that mirror Spencer's. The season closes on a storm-chased horizon. Spencer and Alex, battered but alive, prepare to confront the curse and the syndicate. James, standing at Leela's window, strikes a match, the flame reflecting in eyes that flicker with doubt and a spark of his parents' defiance. Somewhere, the rails hum with the weight of what's coming. Spark and Scare trade Season 1's romantic fire for gothic shadows, weaving generational curses, identity wars, and the cost of redemption into a darker, richer tapestry. It asks, when the world insists you are your bloodline's sins, do you surrender or scorch the earth to rewrite your fate? 10 years after the Cliffside tragedy, the Great Depression grips America. The railroads lie rusted, the Morgan name forgotten, and the syndicate's empire has dissolved into dust. Spencer Morgan, now a weathered drifter, returns to Montana after years of self-exile, drawn by rumors of a young man stirring trouble in the dying ranch towns, a man with Alex's fierce eyes and his own recklessness. Alexandra Grant has spent the decade rebuilding her land, now legally restored to her Blackfoot kin. She's a matriarch to the displaced and a thorn to the syndicate's remnants. But her greatest battle is with James, now 22, who rides with a gang of outlaws hell-bent on carving his own legacy from the ashes of his parents' sins. Haunted by Leela Kane's manipulations and his own rage, he robs trains and burns symbols of the old world, screaming into the void, "I am no one's son." The final reckoning begins when James' gang attacks a Blackfoot settlement, unaware of Alex's ties to the tribe. Spencer, tracking James, arrives too late to stop the violence, but intervenes as James aims a pistol at an elder. In the standoff, Spencer drops his weapon and reveals the truth. Leela's files, the photo of James in Alex's arms, and the unsigned deed to the land his birthright. "You were never disposable," Spencer says, his voice breaking. "We failed you. But this is yours to protect, not destroy." James, trembling, lowers the gun, but the syndicate's last loyalists ambush them, led by a vengeful Dr. Kane. A firefight erupts. Alex arrives with her kin and ranchers, turning the tide. In the chaos, Leela corners James, blade in hand. "You'll always be mine," she says, but Spencer tackles her into a burning barn. The flames consume them both, Spencer's final act severing the cycle of violence. 1935 Montana. The dust storms of the Great Depression scour the plains. But Alex's ranch, a cooperative of Blackfoot families, former syndicate outcasts, and drought survivors, stands defiant. The land, once stolen and cursed, now yields crops under James' care. Now 25, he wears his father's railroad spike on a leather cord, a relic of the past. He's vowed to outrun Alex, her hair streaked with silver as she watches from the porch. He teaches a Blackfoot boy to mend fences. The ghost of Spencer lingers in James' laugh, in the way he tilts his hat against the sun. A letter arrives, postmarked New York. The state, dismantling the last of the Morgan boss assets, has uncovered a sealed box addressed to Alex. Inside, Spencer's. A journal penned in the years after he vanished, its final entry dated the night he died. "Alex, if you're reading this, I'm gone, but so is the curse. The land is yours. James is yours. Tell him I saw his face in every fire I ever started and every fire I ever put out. Tell him the rails we're building now aren't for empires. They're for him and you. You were always the only truth I couldn't bury." That night, Alex rides to the cliffs where Spencer fell. She finds James already there, the journal in his hands. Wind whips the pages as he reads aloud his father's words. When he finishes, he hurls the railroad spike into the abyss, a final release. But Alex stops him. "Keep it," she says. "Not for him, for you." If you're still reeling from the fire, betrayal, and redemption of Spencer and Alex's final reunion, don't let the story end here. Join the saga off-screen. Smash that like button if you're rooting for James' redemption or still mad at Spencer's choices. Comment below, what would you have done in that final cliffside showdown team? Spencer, Team Alex, or Team Burn It All Down? Subscribe plus hit the bell so you never miss a deep dive into the hidden chapters of this epic. Think behind-the-scenes breakdowns, real 1923 history versus fiction, and my wild theories about what James does next. Stay connected, this isn't just a story, it's a community. Your theories fuel the next video, so let's keep the conversation raging in the comments. Who knows, your idea might just become canon. Until next time, keep those matches lit and remember, the best stories are the ones we write together.